Hey everyone, Hawk and Carlton here at Carlton Carnivores, back with a little quick tidbit video on one of the species that I grow here. I was repotting it and decided I ought to do a little feature, especially because this is a tropical pitcher plant species that isn't actually seen very often in cultivation, despite being relatively easy to grow, partly because maybe people think it's a little too simple to be interesting. And that is, this is Nepenthes distillatoria, one of the first species of tropical pitcher plants that was ever described back in, I think, the 1700s. I'll double check to make sure, put it up correctly for you guys, but it was a long, long time ago when these guys were first named. This is the only pitcher plant endemic to the island of Sri Lanka. And it was, of course, one of the first ones that was come across by European explorers. The name distillatoria originates from the thought that way back when people believed that carnivorous plants were something that would be an affront to the natural order of things. So they didn't have that as a concept when they were visiting this species. Instead, they believed that these pitchers were actually created by God to magically distill rainwater to be safe for people to drink. Of course, the reality of what these guys do was discovered later on, but the name, of course, distillatoria, stuck. Magic distilling plant. These guys, the vines can get up to somewhere around 20 feet long at full size, and the leaves, roughly lanceolate, kind of oblong-oblanceolate, and they reach up to about 8-9 inches long, of course, off of which the pitchers grow. Lower and upper pitchers are both relatively similar. Lower pitchers can grow up to about 6-8 inches tall and are very, very bulbous and fat at the base. They narrow to become more cylindrical in the middle, up to a very simple peristome, and then, of course, the simple round lid. These guys, like other simple widespread species like Mirabilis, actually have pretty distinctive veins that run through the pitchers, and the color is fairly plain as well. Anywhere from kind of a yellow-green, like mine is, to bright red. The underside of the lid often is much more red than the rest of the plant, though. And of course, upper pitchers, very similar. A little bit more elongate. The bottom part is more funnel-shaped to bulbous, and then it narrows into a much taller cylindrical upper part. But then it loses the wings oftentimes, but retains the same kind of coloration and that kind of reddish underside of the lid oftentimes. The wings do sometimes stick around for a little bit, and it creates this very interesting flared look to the plant. But overall, that plain coloration and plain design makes this species that is often overlooked in cultivation. People like to go for the flashier things, but the history behind this plant makes it extra interesting to grow because, again, the first species to be officially described in the genus. And it's fairly easy to grow because it is a lowlander. These guys live from about 0 to 1,500 meters, so that's up to about 3,000, 4,500 feet in elevation. So they like warm, lowland, humid conditions. So 75 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity between 50 and 90%. Good airflow if you got really high humidity, though. Otherwise, you can get issues with mold. And then any good standard Nepenthes mix works for these guys. I use my usual sphagnum, perlite, and I have been adding cocoa chips to kind of aerate the soil a little more in mine. But any mix that works for your average Nepenthes is good for these guys. In fact, because they often even grow in swamps sometimes, this is one of the species that you might get to tolerate a peat-based mix that's a little denser, a little wetter. They're also fairly easy to grow from cuttings. Simply snip wherever the green on the vine stops, and then put that into water or wet sphagnum, and just leave it alone for a few months. It'll sprout and start growing. Like all Nepenthes, these guys are dioecious. They are either male or female, so to produce seeds, you do have to get both. The lights are about to turn off, so we'll have to move this a little quicker. But, yeah, just a quick, easy little video. Cool little plant. Thought I'd share with you guys. If there's any specific questions that you have about that particular species, feel free to leave those questions in the comments below. I can try and answer them, but that's about all that I have for that little species. If you enjoy short videos like this, do keep supporting the channel by watching these videos all the way through. The watch hours really help. Like and subscribe, leave the comments, of course. That all helps boost the channel. You can find more photos and tidbits and videos and such that I post on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And of course, if you'd like to help support the channel and these endeavors and such in a more financial manner, you can always buy plants at carltoncarnivores.com, or I've got resin gem jewelry that I produce there. There's also, I'll have a link for our merch shop, Teespring, down in the video description below, or you can become a member at Ko-fi or Patreon. Patreon members get extra benefits back, such as access to the seed contest, early access to the videos, and more. But until next time, as the lights go off here, if you enjoy seeing these videos, make sure to subscribe. But until next time, I'm Hawk and Carlton, and this is Carlton Carnivores.